rotate device back. Oh, okay. Well, that was not expected. I guess I just go like this. All right, now we are fixed. All right, well, what I want to talk about today is cults I joined. Descriptions below. You can click the Patreon to subscribe. It's not mine. I just really enjoy it. And today, when I was listening to her podcast, I heard her say that she bought a new car and she was like, hey, promote me. Please tell your friends, anybody who could subscribe. I need to pay off this car. I'm a single mom with a kid. I mean, 3 jobs and wants to pay off her car and her house. So I subscribed, and now I just kind of want to talk about it because it's kind of all I can talk about, because I don't really like shallow, superficial talk. So I will be like, so I've been listening to this new podcast to just random people I'm working with. I've been fascinated with some cults. I didn't really go down any rabbit hole, but I'm glad that she did. I've always been spiritual. If you want to come see my, I've always been like interested in different religions, and this is my altar. So I have Lahiri Mahasaya there. He's a Kriya yogi teacher. And a lot of religions, they pass on practices through lineages, because then you can go to the person who's practiced that for 20 years and be like, when I'm meditating and I'm focusing up here, but then I'm focusing up here, is that bad, or should I just focus on one of those? Like, and then they can tell you, like, well, as long as you're not straining, and they can give you the advice that you wander alone about in your practice. So that's why like lineages are really useful, but they get a bad rep because because of words, essentially. Let's talk about words. I like etymology, and the etymology of the word cult is the same root word as cultivate, culture, and the word cult means to cultivate, to no, I can't remember. I want to say like to be devoted, but that's not quite it. I would use my phone to look this up, but I can't do that because I'm recording. But yeah, look up the etymology of the root word of cult, because it means devotion, basically. Hi. What's your favorite religion and cult? Some people could say that like governments are a cult, companies are a cult, because you have to you devote a lot of time to it. Hey guys. Yeah, in the description I've got like a link to it's weird to have comments on. I was just going to talk about cults. I am how old? I'm 38. I don't know. I was born in 1987. My name's Lala. Anyway, I wanted to talk about my favorite cults, because I've always been really spiritual, but I was raised in like a very atheist family, and they would label some religions as cults, but not all of them. And Canis, come. Canis, come here. Canis, sit. Paw. Good boy. Good boy. I should give him a treat. Good boy. I was born in Maryland, and my dad worked in DC as an economist. He was really like skeptical. He's got German background. I do have cats, but they're in the basement with my son. Candace, you want to come join my video? I'm going live on YouTube because here, they want to see you. You're the star. They just want to see dogs. I'm not gonna go down to the basement to go visit the cats, but you can Google kitty videos and go watch that on the internet. Yeah, they're really fun. I had to wash my dog earlier and he didn't like it. So my favorite thing about this podcast I've been listening to that I'm just quickly trying to promote before I go about my day is that they talk about history, and I've learned so much about the Vietnam War and about like, I don't know, the Amish. Like the Amish are really interesting. You just see them in their carts and buggies and wearing very plain clothes. But when you learn about them, and you hear like stupid rumors and stuff, but when you, because people have a propensity to talk negatively about people that they don't understand, like groups of people that look the same but aren't what you're used to, and they keep to themselves, then you kind of start imagining things about them, and you make some maybe mean comments. I always didn't though, because I thought like, well, the people that are coming out of the church look really happy. They're all saying hi to each other. Look, they're eating food. They're playing music together. This seems like a really cool cult. It's just like a Christian Baptist church in the Caribbean that I first saw this when I was like, I'm messing with this new thing. that twists and turns. I thought, like coming from an atheist, academic, skeptical family, I thought, well, the Christians are the ones that I saw when I was very young are very happy and like they're like clapping and hugging, and I was like, well, I'm gonna look into Jesus a little bit and see what he read, what he suggested for like how to, you know, what the hell's going on in reality, what happens after we die. I was very curious about that from a very young age. So I read what he said, and it sounded like good advice. A lot of it didn't make sense because I didn't see any miracles. I didn't see any magic happening. I've changed my tune now because now I've seen some magic, and I'm like, oh, magic is real. Magic is alive. And so I was like, so now I'm like much more prone to join a cult because I'm like, oh, these things that people are discussing is actually possible, and it's worth investing in, because if God is real and if our lives have some kind of meaning, because why would there not be meaning if God is real, then what are we here for? And it's like this open play game where you can sort of like figure it out as you go. You're born, you have these parents, this experience, and then like synchronicities happen, and like one thing leads to another, and it's like how have you fared during your journey? Somebody pisses you off, how quickly can you forgive them? How much can you like not react against the injustice that was done? You know, and that's kind of like the game of life that I've been playing. And you asked how old I was. I'm 38, so I've been playing this game for 32 years at least. Probably longer. Oh, it's probably for lifetimes. But at the same time, I don't have proof that there's past lives because I don't remember them. But thank God I don't remember them because I was probably awful. Hopefully I learned something. But I guess I didn't do too bad because here I am safe in a house with this experience and everything's going okay. Is that how it works? I don't know. So, to get back to my original point, this podcast, Cults I'd Join, is exploring all these different communities that are like really sincerely devoted to creating a culture of devotion to a practice or to an ideology. Because there are like, have you ever heard of Christian anarchy, communist anarchy? I can't remember her name. It might come to me, but she fought for women's rights to vote in like the early 1900s, and I wish I would remember her name. But she ended up co-founding a movement called Catholic Workers, which now if you go to catholicworkers.org, you can find like where little sorry, I just saw a message from somebody who's starting an intentional communities school. If you're interested in building intentional communities, I have a friend with a very elaborate history of communities, intentioneers.net. Go check it out. He's written so many cool like how these communities have worked in the past. Like there's a whole history of there's the mainstream history that we know, and that's what I really appreciate about the podcast is she teaches so much history kind of just by covering these communities, because these communities develop as a reaction to what's happening politically. Maybe a king is trying to like kill everybody who thinks differently than them. So they're like, let's go hide over here. We'll call ourselves Amish, or whatever they choose to do. So at intentioneers.net, you can read the Intentioneers Bible, which is just a historical overview of all these different communities, religious and not religious, So the Catholic Workers movement was started in the early 1900s, late 1800s, early 1900s, and they like swear themselves to poverty. They give away all their things, and then they just help. Like the most famous one is in LA, in that place where there's a lot of bridges and tents. They have like this hippie bus that they serve food out of, and some people don't like that. Some people say don't feed the homeless because you're enabling them. Like, society is so crazy. Anyway, my other favorite cult, Catholic Workers is cool. Like it's a nice thing, but they inherit these old Victorian buildings, and they don't furnish it because like everything that they make goes to like feeding the homeless, and they're like, I'm not gonna indulge in fancy things for myself, right? So there's a good cult. And then for myself, growing up, I was trained by my family to well, I don't think it worked, but they were trying to tell me that cults were bad, right? And like, oh, they just follow, or they're like weak-willed, or they're being taken advantage of, or whoever's leading the cult is abusive and power hungry. But there are egalitarian communities where there's no leader, and there's tons of communes that exist around the world where there's no hierarchical, like you are gonna do that, I'm your boss, but it's like, well, this needs to get done. You seem like you might enjoy that, or like that would be a contribution you can make, and no, okay, then I'll find someone else to do that, but this has to get done. So I'm the manager for like finding somebody. I can do it too, but I see, it's getting stuck on that. Anyway, another cool cult, and she uses that term tongue-in-cheek, like it's just a joke sort of, but it's not, because anything can be a cult. We can just reclaim this word. We can be like, I'm starting a cult, join me. Oh, that'd be a fun thing to talk about. Like, what would I have in my cult? I would have like a schedule. You would wake up and meditate. We can do it in group or we can do it solo, but like that's a huge part of my life. So in my cult, everybody would meditate, because I've noticed in my life that if I meditate, I'm a lot more peaceful and calm and joyful and my capacity to love people gets bigger and bigger. I make better decisions. I have access to more wisdom. Sometimes I get information before it happens, and that's kind of cool too. My intuition just gets a little bit better. So yeah, magic is real. What else would we do in our cult? It's optional, but I think it'd be cool to wear linens. Um, I think linens aren't poisonous. Whoop, over here. This isn't working. I'm experimenting with this tracking tripod. So that's why it always stops when I go there. So yeah, my cult, we would wear linens. And I think turbans are cool. I think they have a function. Like when you put your hair up in like a yogi knot, you twist your hair in a spiral onto your crown chakra, and the prana that comes in from the universe goes down your spine and energizes you. At least that's what I heard from the Kundalini yogis, which I've never really joined them. I don't like fire breath. I do pranayama, but it's like more calm and long, and because my guru, a loaded word in the US. It's funny, I don't have an actual picture of him. Don't I? Where'd he go? Oh, here he is. Yeah, there we go. Here, receive some healing. I know how to make jokes. That's Yogananda. You should read his book, Autobiography of a Yogi. That's how I got into meditation. He came to the US in 1920s. He started a cult. He opened an ashram called the Self-Realization Fellowship. At the time, it was called Church of All Religions, I think. And he's a great writer. He writes a book called The Science of Religion. And he says that the reason that we have religion is to be happy, to have everlasting joy and peace. So let's find the scientific way to have everlasting joy and peace. So he gives us instructions for meditation, and he even has a songbook. Oh yeah, that's something we do in my cult. We would have songs that we get really good at. Ooh, a cult that I like, speaking of songs that they get really good at, is the Hare Krishnas. You've seen them all over the world with their harmonium and drums, and they're singing Hare Krishna. That's a cult that my family made fun of. And now I find myself going to Krishna temple occasionally. I would probably learn a lot of various songs. A lot of cults have like specific songs that they sing. I have songs that I like to sing, and then my friends will have songs they like to sing, and I like to learn new songs. So as long as they're high vibing songs, it's okay, but none of this pop culture, like he left me and I hate him kind of songs. Like, that's stupid. We would also really cook a lot of good food, and we would grow our own food. That's something that's pretty universal among all cults, I have learned from this podcast that you should support, called Cults I Join. Link in the description. Not my podcast. Just riffing on it for a second while I play with this new tripod that I got, because I was going to start a podcast with interviewing people, which it doesn't need a tracker, so I don't know why I got this one. I might return it. I don't know. This is fun, though. I'm just like talking and walking, basically. I should probably walk somewhere more beautiful, like the park. But yeah, cults I join. We would sing, eat, meditate, and then just do real world stuff. And I guess the thing that's hard about joining cults and having any kind of intentional community is like finding the right people who have the same values, first of all, and then managing communication styles. Because right now in my house, we have 5 rooms and 3 of them are rented out, and we need to find 2 more. But even with the 3 that are already there, it's like, most of them get along most of the time, but once in a while there's like this conflict, and everyone means well and their intentions are good, but the communication style gets a little bit choppy. So that's the hard part, but I think I'm getting better at it, and it's a learnable skill. And you do that through, like, if you've ever heard of nonviolent communication classes, it's like this way of like, someone's doing something and there's a confrontation. You just first identify your own feelings, like, I'm feeling scared, and then your need. I need safety and a moment to breathe. And then you make a request. Could you please lower your voice? And then, what is it? There's like a protocol. I can't even recall it right now. But there's so many ways to like hack communication, but and it's so important because the amount of miscommunication going on in our world, it is so sad that there's even wars still. It's so unnecessary, and it's all because somebody felt a certain way of like thousands of years ago, and they taught their children to hate somebody of a different nation and like teach religious beliefs that promote hate and division without like whatever. I'm not going to get into my actual religious worldview. Like, I just want to say one thing though. God is one is such a complicated term. It's not like whether you have multiple gods, like there's the fire god and the water god and the air god. Like, it's all God, and it looks like a bunch of million different pieces. And in the case of humans, 8 billion different pieces. But the view, your eyes looking at me, that is God. God is like the conscious awareness that when you close your eyes and you're sitting there with yourself, that's it. It's not anything more crazy than that. So when you pray a lot, you're speaking kindly to yourself, to God. Anyway, we'll figure it out. I think we're evolving. There's more and more people who know this, at least in my circle. And so we can treat each other with patience and compassion, because you know that this person is a reflection of God. And why would God put this person in my life right now? Oh, it's to teach me something. It's to teach me something about myself or the world, or how these laws work, how to communicate, basically. Because it's all like this love vibration manifesting as this dream of earth life. And I invented this character to be my lover and this character to be my enemy for now, until like we figure it out. So that's kind of my like storybook version of what's going on in this reality, and why I want to join a cult where I'm surrounded by other people who also see life this way. Because right now I live in the suburban hellhole of concrete jungle. Grateful that it's not a war zone here. So I'm not complaining, but it is still hell. It's just like a higher level of hell where like, my president is a clown and all his followers are in a cult. They have a very like, their cult is very destructive and hateful. I think I'm losing healthcare today because I was on like our country's healthcare, and our big orange president doesn't want single moms to have health care, I think. Anyway, well, hell is here. And I've been interested in spirituality since I was a little girl, because I was seeing things dying, and I was like, what happens when we die? And there's all these stories that something else happens, and I trust these people who are telling me this, even though my parents are like, they're crazy, they're just trying to make themselves feel better because they're afraid of death. Like, no, if there's nothing after death, I'm not afraid of death. Like, if there's nothing, if there's something, I've heard near-death experiences where people go to hell. I've also seen people go on acid trips where they're in hell, and I think that's just like I think it's just a reflection of your own psyche. Heaven and hell are a state of mind, and the consciousness never ceases. I hope everyone's clicking on the description and going to that Patreon and like just following her, because she tells really good stories, and she looks into like for example, she'll be reading these articles and she'll be like, they went into the woods and they subsisted on homegrown vegetables and foraged foods. And she's like, oh, whoa, hold up there. I just want to draw attention to why this person is kind of a shitty person. Like the way he's reporting on these people is they were probably thriving. They were eating homegrown organic foods with foraged like stuff like mushrooms and whatever else you find in the North Carolina woods, which is plentiful. But they're making it sound like they're living in rustic cabins and subsisting on homegrown food. Like that makes it sound like they're starving, you know. But they're so she'll sort of like critique articles based on like what tone they're using, and it happens a lot when people talk about cults because they want to shun it. It's different, and I don't want to. Aren't you ready for something different? Like this all sucks. Our leaders suck. The activists are awesome, but they're confused too. So I think everyone should join a cult. In fact, like we should just turn our neighborhoods into some kind of functional cult. I'm totally reappropriating this word because like it's just been taken over by probably the CIA. They're like, let's call them this so that they're. I wonder why I get stuck here. Oh, it's probably because of the. Let's try it. Ooh, different vibe. Yeah, this has a light too. I don't know. It's like really low. What do you think? Not bad lighting. But I don't think I need this tripod for my purposes. But it's fun to walk and talk. I've been talking for 27 minutes about cults. I love cults. I don't like it when people get abused, and I don't like it when people. Okay, so the bad parts about cult is that like they isolate. Well, the bad ones. They'll isolate you from your family. They'll take all your things. When you give one person too much power, they get really crazy. There are some really crazy things that leaders of cults have done, like our president, and like anyway, don't shut me down, YouTube. I heard that talking badly about our president is illegal. Shit, that sucks. I mean, that's what the president said. I don't think the senators in Congress will allow that, but what kind of world we live in? Should probably just turn on lights. I don't know. It's dark. So yeah, those are the bad parts about cults, which like we know that. That's all the if you hear about like bad cults, it's because they all killed themselves on an island somewhere, or they all did some kind of bombing, or they, started leading a whole nation and starting a civil war or something like that, But hopefully not. We're there on like a mental level. We're not fighting physically much in the U.S. I mean, there's tons of gun violence, but like most of the fight is in the head. Like, you are stupid for getting vaccinated. You're crazy for not getting vaccinated. It's like, does it really matter? Can we just get along? Are we really breaking up families about things that are happening in our heads? Stupid. Yeah. Anyway, I told you what I would do if I did start a cult. We would meditate, eat good food. Oh, I also like circle dances. I recently went to a place, it was a temple, and we like held hands, and it was like mantra recitation, chanting, going around and around in a circle, and that was nice. So, all right, I'm pretty much done talking about cults for now and recording myself, which is kind of weird. I'm gonna go do something else now. Go support her Patreon, and yeah,
subscribe to me too, I guess. I don't care.
I don't care.